And I wanted to heal because I didn't want to repeat the same cycle. And I got a new perspective for life.
Today we talked to student Lydia Rios. Lydia competes in ultramarathons, which are races that can be up to 100 miles or more. She is now turning her focus to earn an education. Lydia also helps to raise funds for students who want to participate in martial arts. First of all, what is an ultramarathon? Because marathons themselves are just... I've run a half, and that's taxing. So, I mean, what's an ultramarathon?
So an ultra is considered anything above a marathon, which will be a 50K, which is about 31 or 32 miles. Depends if you do trail or road. Mm-hmm. I feel that trails always gives you more miles for your money.
Oh, so. You sure do, yes. And I've run, it's different than a flat asphalt all the way out. So I've run one before that was like a 5K, but it was like it was out in West Texas, and it was on a trail, and it just tore me up. Like, I had a rough time with it. So.
I have heard people say, "Oh yeah, have you run a marathon? I just did one. It was a 5K." And I'm like, there's a big difference between a marathon and a 5K.
Huge difference. Tell me about yourself.
I'm a solo parent. I have 4 children. They're pretty big. They're not babies. My 23-year-old, actually, he graduated with me when I walked the stage from high school in 2000. And he's 23. And then I have twin boys who will be 15 in December. And my youngest one just turned 13.
Okay.
Yes, he's the boss, though. And I'm about to turn 40 this month, so woohoo! It's a big milestone because I actually lost my dad before he turned 40. And I have an older brother, and when he turned 40, he was like, we made it. So when I turned 40, I feel that like we made it. My dad died with, it wasn't expected.
Okay.
He had cancer, and so we lost him when we were kids. So it's a big deal. Turning 40 is a big deal for me.
So how do you, with these 4 kids, do ultra marathons?
The reason why I started running, because I started running, I have to do the math, in 2017 was my first 50-miler. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I did a marathon just a month before and 2 marathons before that one. So my first marathon was the Chevron 2016, and when I finished, it was just horrible. I said, I'm going to train for the 2017.
The one in Houston?
Yes.
I was in that race, actually. I ran the half that year, so that's interesting.
So you might have seen me struggling.
No, you would have passed me up very early on, so don't worry about it.
So that was my first one. And the reason why I signed up for that one was because I was just ready to give up. When I say ready to give up, I was ready to give up. I had no hope. I felt that I had no reason to be alive, and I could see the benefits that not being here will bring to my kids. It's so interesting, right? I was dealing with PTSD, and I was fighting just to breathe, because even breathing was just painful. My heart goes out to anyone dealing with mental issues, with depression, feeling that they don't have a purpose in life, and when they feel alone or judged, and they don't talk about it, and they end up just living in a small bubble, which is really not living. So I had just come out of an abusive marriage. My husband left the country in 2014, and I couldn't just find a reason to get up. I was dealing with a lot of trauma, and on top of that, my twin boys have special needs. They are on the autism spectrum, nonverbal, intellectual disability, speech impairment. And just before doing my marathon in 2017, a week before that, I ended up in the hospital, Texas Children's, because one of the boys was like basically getting to the comatose stage. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And we had, I noticed that things, but we couldn't find out what was happening. He couldn't tell me, and I just saw my boy vanish, and we ended up in the hospital. And I hear the doctors and the nurses telling me, we know that this is a big deal. You know, like we don't know the cause. There is no cure. And they're trying to equip me. And I'm just in this, I guess, numb.
Yeah.
Like I already
like on top of everything else.
Yeah, I'm
right?
like, I already know about this. Like I have 2 sons with autism and there's no cause and they don't know. I'm equipped. No, it just, I was just there like numb. And so I lost it. I went inside the restroom and I get on my knees and I'm crying out to God. I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take it. You put me here. I'll take it. Thank you for giving my boy a chance to stay alive, because it was just bad. And I said, but please don't take running away from me, because I have seen what running did to my body and to my mind. And it felt like I had already given up on a lot of things by becoming a single mom and not taking shortcuts, because there's a lot of shortcuts in life. Especially when you're a young woman.
Well, and you start to find them real quickly when you become a parent. Too.
Yes, no, I put my kids as priority, and I wanted to heal because I didn't want to repeat the same cycle. See, I have been married when I was young, when I walked the stage as a high school graduate, and it was just, I felt that I married the same guy, just with different name, different person. And so I was aware that if I got into a relationship right away just to like be able to swim, I was going to repeat the cycle. And I guess when I started running, I realized that I had already lost what I thought I had. And just, I got a new perspective for life.
How did you get to running as something that helped you cope? I mean, how did that start? How did you go from somebody who was dealing with these issues and you thought to yourself, this running is really helping me? Like, how did you make that bridge from that point?
I guess just by doing it. Because I was just, when I did that first marathon and when I signed up, it was already sold out. This is like late fall. And you know, the marathon is
you have to do it in June if you want to like a guaranteed seat. And that's
so like what I did is I was volunteering at my church, and I met a young lady. She's a young lady now, but she was a child who needed lungs. And so through that, I had a relationship volunteering at the Ronald McDonald House. And I said, well, I'll run for them. They, you know, I didn't know about the Heroes program, so they have that. And I was supposed to raise money. That's how I got into it. Okay. I had no training. It was.
Well, had you run before that?
Just like a 5K marathon. Here, one, you know, like the rodeo one.
A fun run is what you're saying.
Yeah, okay, nothing. I was active at the YMCA. Okay. And actually, it's because of I have a friend, and I always say, I'm going to say her name. This is the time. Her name is Carla Jones. She was a trainer at the Y. When I ended up alone, and I guess everybody just saw how messed up I was. Like I was just ready. Again, I was ready to give up, and I'm sure everybody could sense it. She told me, whatever happens, make working out a priority. Schedule it put it on your calendar. And I told her, it's because you told me that. And she's like, well, you did it. I said, but because of that, I kept believing that I was able to do. I mean, what was there to lose? Yeah. Like not finishing the marathon?
Well, how did you find the time? I mean, you have to at that point, you have to make the time.
Well, the good thing about, I guess, with me too, that since my dad died and I grew up as, you know, with only my mom working, she worked in restaurants all, you know, her young life. And we grew up with her, but she was really not there. She was working to provide. Okay. And I said, if I'm going to be this single parent that I'm choosing to be now, you know, again, because there are plenty of people willing to help you. I said, I want to be present. So I want to first of all, my kids have disabilities. So you have to be very active. They come home and they don't tell me how their day was. And I said, I want to be present. So I started cleaning houses. And so I work doing that, and it's on my schedule. My clients are very flexible. It's not much, but I have also learned that God always provides way more than what I expect or what I feel that I need. And so I have trust. I have faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was very honest with me. I said, okay, so I have to train. I have the time.
In other words, these people are helping you to give you the opportunity. You need to take advantage of it. Right?
Yes.
You feel like you had to.
And so many people came to rescue, came to help. When I didn't have any help, you can't just get a babysitter.
No. Even when you have resources, it's
yes,
hard to find a babysitter.
Yes. And so people just volunteered their time. Volunteers from my church, my neighbor, just they gave, they saw, they believed in me. And so whenever I want to do a race, it was painful. It's hard. Every race is so hard. And I think about, what if I stop and just go home? And I think, no, because nothing has changed at home. I still have to deal with the same thing. I still have to give the boys their medication. The house is a mess. And I'm going to feel like a complete failure because I'm choosing to give up. Eventually, the pain is going to pass. The time is going to pass. If I don't finish a race, it's because the time or an injury or a lion or something eats me. So, but it's that I make it, I guess, a priority. Like my friend Carla taught me to do, and like I don't watch TV. There are things that I don't do. Like I don't watch TV. I don't.
So how does running help you? I mean, how does it, and everything that you've been dealing with, how has it helped you?
It has helped me to accept my reality, but also to know that there's a lot of things that I think I know, but are really not in my control. So, for example, I accepted that, my kids are eventually growing up, and one day, at any moment, I'm not going to be here. So what are the plans? Like, put my feet on the ground. It also made me realize, like, coming back to school after 22 years, because I've been wanted to come to school, that the time is going to pass. So if even I was so terrified.
Get something done while you're doing it, right?
Yes. I was just so terrified to sign up for classes. I didn't think. There was a period in I'll say in 2015 when I was going to the PTSD, like I couldn't retain information. And I had to, not just the running, like I have to seek medical help. And a doctor sat me down and said, you've been to a lot of trauma. Like your daily day is filled with a lot of stuff that people don't even imagine. Yeah. So you're going through a lot, your body and your brain. So let's talk about healing your brain. So let's talk with this treatment. So I started taking my medication, and it has been life-saving because I don't want to be on this. I used to be like, I guess, so addicted also to the normal, which was going and going. Yes. And I said, I can't live like this, all stressed out and just surviving on this surviving mode. And so running is like, when I get to that mode, when it's like just probably after 50 miles, that is just the flow. You're just on the zone. And the only thing that is just your body. It's like a harmony, you and the trails. It's just, and life is like that sometimes. And sometimes I'm going to be, aware that I have a blister, and it's just like life. And it never, what I feel is that it doesn't stop. It might not get better, but I'm building that resilience.
Moving forward a step at a time, basically.
Yes. Yes.
So how did you go from, you've been through a lot, you've pulled yourself out. So how did you decide finally that this was the time to go back to school? After
I heard myself on the podcast that I did in March. So I get emails and letters and messengers, and people met me in races, and they tell me you're amazing, you're this and that. But actually also hearing myself like say, I want to go to college on that podcast. And I heard me and I said, then what's stopping you? Like, you wanted to run a marathon, and what did you do? You took that step of faith. You were afraid, you thought you were not prepared, but you did it. And that pushed me to bigger things. So it's the same with, when I heard that, I said,
well, education is the ultimate ultramarathon right there.
And it's not easy. It really humbles me. And it makes me like really think, get out of I thought I had it. I thought I knew, but no.
What do you hope the education helps you with? Or what do you hope it brings you?
So I write, And people have told me, whenever they read my material that, I should write a book.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of stuff that I have written through the years, but a lot of it is through my years of really dark days where I can go right now and read, and I'm like, wow, I seriously was ready to give up. I actually, life is just, it can be hard, but it can also be so beautiful if you want to look at it like that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I drove to Lake Jackson to end my life because I don't know how to swim. So I drove and I had gone to therapy. I was taking my medicine. I went to the gym. I actually took my friend Carla's class that morning, and I just felt this pain, like I couldn't breathe without like feeling that it was just painful. And I drove to Lake Jackson, and a friend, I don't even know what the text said, but my friend sends me a text and says, hey, I probably said something like, yeah, I'm ready to give up. And I get the text saying, no, like, you have purpose. And I guess I said, okay, I'll get on my car and go home. I guess this is a sign. But nothing changed. I still drove crying, hopeless. I came home and the same thing, like nothing changed. But like 2 years later, in October 2017, that same place where I drove, I completed my first 100-mile race. And I am the only female that holds that buckle. So
which race was that?
Orion.
Oh, okay.
Orion 100. They actually put it twice, and I completed it twice.
Oh, cool.
Because when I was ready to quit, I said, well, I was ready to quit a few years ago, and look at me, I'm still here. I think I can go another mile.
So what do you kind of hope to do with your education? What's the plan beyond?
So I'm pursuing communications. I want to be able to not just share my story, not just share my boy's story, but the stories of the people I meet during running. There's a lot of amazing stories that need to be told and to give people hope. Yeah. So, I don't know what doors are going to be open, but I'm excited for it. And I love, even in the middle of chaos, because I tried so hard this summer to like find study time, and this with my boy is just wild. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna let them see me sitting down and trying to study and see how they react. Now they're like, yeah, just give us the computer, Mom, and you can have your study time. Like, it's possible. If I can start this, and if you ask for help, because there's so much help and so many resources here, you can do
There
it.
is, and we have a lot of resources here for students that need the help.
I love that. Just take care of your mental health. Ask for help. I also started doing martial arts, actually. So go and do something with move your body, because it will help you think clearly. And I believe that God is going to show you the right path. He's going to bring the right people, just as he has done with me. And if a person who's alone with 4 boys, 2 with disabilities, she didn't have resources to start school, and through all these years, God has been faithful and has opened doors for me. He will do it for anyone. So,
all right. Well, thanks for coming by today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
To read about these stories and more, visit allencollege.edu.